Welcome to Learn and Love Music. I'm Duane Hulbert, and I'm pleased to present this wonderful work by Beethoven today. His Tempest Sonata, first movement. I want to give you 5 tips on how to play this iconic work. Before we begin though, we want to encourage all of you to subscribe to our channel. We want to see you back again. So let's dig into this great piece by Beethoven. So how did the title The Tempest come about? Beethoven was with his assistant Anton Schindler, and Schindler wanted to know, how do you perform this piece? What is important in performing this piece? And Beethoven said, just read Shakespeare's The Tempest, and you'll get an idea of that. That was the only reference that Beethoven gave to The Tempest. He never titled it. So imagine, if you will, wild storms, kind of a fury, the excitement of the tempest. This is what Beethoven saw in this piece. Tip number 1. How do we handle the 2 different tempos in this piece? The tempos are Largo and Allegro. They're seemingly unconnected, but if you perform the piece, you'll find that there is a relationship. It's actually a 4-to-1 relationship. So if you listen to the beginning, if I were counting the beats in the Largo, it goes this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I counted fast, I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Take that same tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's exactly 4 times as fast. I find this works really well in creating a wonderful structure with this piece, that 4-to-1 ratio between the Adagio and the Allegro. This is important because Beethoven loved structure. He liked to have themes of different sections connect with each other, and he does it in this with this sort of 4-to-1 ratio. The tendency would be just to play one part slow and the other part fast, but to connect them with a 4-to-1 ratio kind of holds it together, because he does this many times in the piece. Fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. So we really try to get that connection with the pulse by doing this. Tip number 2. Play the 2-note phrases in this piece with an up-down motion. First note is long and legato, the second note is short. So it's something like this, if we do it slowly. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, or long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. But as you get faster, you have to make sure the short note is very short and very light. Because if you play it heavy, it gets stuck a little bit. Remember, the long note has to be connected to the short note, and the long note is always louder. Even though the section is marked piano, we want to make sure there's that relationship between the long note, short note, the loud note, the soft note. So you do it slowly. So it almost sounds like that's the melody. And always be super light on that soft note. Tip number 3. When we get to the bottom of the first page of the piece, we have this wonderful melody that happens, but the hands have to be crossed over. When I first started teaching this piece, I didn't have students cross over the hands, which made it a little bit more difficult. But I used to do it this way. But the fast notes always had to be passed off from the right hand to the left hand to the right hand to the left hand. The way you should look at it, though, is that the left hand plays the melody. Then it jumps up over the right hand. Again. make sure you don't use your thumb when you cross over, otherwise you're going to have a collision with the hands will collide. And then the accompaniment is done with the right hand. Right hand in the bass clef. That's probably about the most boring theme that the right hand has ever had to play. Right hand is usually playing all the exciting melodic stuff, but in this place, Beethoven wants that to be done in the left hand. So we put it all together with the right hand doing the triplet accompaniment and the left hand crossing over. Tip number 4. When you play the Adagio sections, especially toward the end of the piece, you want to have a really long pedal that creates a much more ethereal, almost mysterious kind of sound. Let me give you an example of this. In the middle section of the piece, we have these sort of like cadenzas that happen, and they're all done, we hear this, the same thing we heard in the beginning, but Beethoven expands it a little bit. What I did there is I held the pedal down through that whole section. A lot of times what students will do is they'll do this and then they'll play this like a lonely plaintive melody. It doesn't work so well. But if you use this technique, make sure you use a really, really shallow pedal because we don't want to have it muddy. Really shallow. Sort of sounds like you're in a castle and there's echoes coming from above. This is a really fabulous effect that Beethoven wants you to use with the pedal. And finally, tip number 5. When you get to the bridge section, we have some very fast arpeggios that have to be played. Arpeggios in this piece, triplets for example, would be this speed. So those are triplets, but what Beethoven does, he puts in sextuplets, which are twice as fast as the triplets. So the speed of it, if I did it slowly, would sound like this. But at the speed that Beethoven wrote it, you have to play that exactly in the same tempo as the chords that precede it. So here it is. I'll count the beats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Important tip though, when you play those really fast arpeggios, they have to be extremely light. Even though he marks the sforzando and forte, in order to get the speed and the brilliance to come out, you have to play them very light. So those are 5 tips on how to perform Beethoven's wonderful Tempest Sonata. That's just the first movement. He wrote 3 movements to this. You have to check those out as well. Don't forget to check out our companion video where I'll be playing all of the first movement. And we'll hope to see you next time and learn and love music. Keep practicing.